Hello and welcome to the Super Nerd Entertainment Show. Today's episode of Monday Musings, a podcast type of show. If you're not familiar with the format and you don't like listening to a lot of talking, look away from your screen now because we are about to strap ourselves in to 30 to 40 minutes of me loving the sound of my own voice. We don't have any guests today on the show, so it's just me. So if you're not interested in that, you're probably on the wrong channel to begin with because you're going to hear a lot of me on this channel. Sadly for you, fantastic for me. But we will crash on if you like podcast, if you like just sitting and having some sort of hobby that doesn't take a lot of attention and you can listen to someone's voice in the background talking about various bits and pieces that you may or may not be interested in. Probably not, but then this show is for you. It is usually on a Monday where we do our podcast kind of material. Quick update, as I usually do at the beginning of all these videos, I do want to put more content on the channel, and I am hoping to put more content on the channel, but I haven't found what it is that I'm looking for, much like you two. So I still haven't recorded anything. You'll probably find there's no video footage to go with this podcast either. It is literally just voiced at the moment. That may change in the future, but again, it's all to do with how much time I have and whatever else we can manage here on the Super Nerd Entertainment Show. So, to begin with, what are we going to talk about? So, interestingly, this week I deleted from my mobile phone the game WWE Supercard. I didn't delete it because it's a bad game necessarily. It was just eating up a lot of my time. And since deleting it, I have got so much more done with my life. It's absolutely amazing. You don't realise when you pick up a mobile game, um, you just think they're trashy, small kind of little things, and for the most part they are. Like there's nothing to WWE Supercard. Really and truly, it's you could probably actually win every game while asleep. It takes no effort to really play the game in terms of play it. You just kind of press on images and it does stuff. But it's a card collecting game if you haven't seen it. It's in the WWE universe, so if you're not into professional wrestling, I apologise up front for this. Don't judge me. I am into professional wrestling. I have been since I was about 5 years old. I used to sit with my grandmother, who really, really loved Hulk Hogan and really, really loved professional wrestling. Um, she was one of the first people I ever knew to get cable, and we were the first time I'd ever really seen American TV. And it was fantastic watching these larger than life wrestlers kind of beat the living hell out of each other. And at the time, obviously, I didn't realise that they didn't actually want to hurt each other. They were just putting on a show, a theatrical depiction of fighting. I watched a little bit of British wrestling, or English wrestling. It wasn't anywhere near as good. The characters weren't anywhere near as much fun, and the whole thing was just a disappointing experience. Very low budget kind of experience. So anyway, so I've been watching it since I was about 5 years old. I have fond memories of watching it with my grandmother. So got really into wrestling. Was into it in the 90s. All my friends were into wrestling at the time. So yeah, kind of become a big wrestling fan. So when WWE Supercard first came out, which I think was about 4 years ago, I downloaded the game. It was very limited. It was very pointless. I stopped playing. My friend got into it. As I say, friends who were into wrestling. Started playing it again. Got into a competition with him who could have the best cards and blah blah blah. And that's really the fun of a card game, I suppose, is collecting the cards and having the bits and pieces. But the problem with it is that it's never ending. So they added more stuff, which was fantastic. You add more to a game, and it allows players to play more. But the problem with it is that I guess because they want money, and they're driven by money, and Mr. Brams and I spoke about this in previous podcasts. Their drive for money means that their game modes and the new content they add is always centered around making money, I believe. It doesn't seem like it's put there to be a new awesome thing for players to be involved with, or a way of them expanding their card collection or anything like that. It's kind of like, oh, we've released this really cool new game mode. It happens to last for like 2 days, and you've got to play like 30 hours a day if you don't want to spend money. For those of you who are, above average on maths, you'll realise that there aren't 30 hours in a day. That's not even, you don't even have to be above average on maths, I suppose, just above average on life experience. But it's phenomenal how mobile games kind of do this as a standard almost. They seem to place in lots and lots of tournaments and short, sharp things where you're kind of stuck playing the game. It's not something like, I play WWE 2K18, and I play the game, I get bored, I stop playing. I don't have to worry about it. But with a mobile game, because their money, I suppose, is derived from me wanting something I can't attain without spending money, I can, but I have to spend a lot of my life. They kind of keep driving it. So I was finding that I was playing a team game which was every Monday night through Tuesday to Tuesday night, and then the weekend event started on a Thursday and went through to Sunday. So again, if you've kind of know how a week works, that basically means Monday morning and Monday afternoon you don't have to play necessarily. Then you kind of look at the fact Tuesday is taken out by the team game. You then kind of get Wednesday off, and then you're back for Thursday through Sunday. So you're kind of stuck to the game for almost 7 days a week, should you want to partake in all of the tournaments. Now, aside from those tournaments, there's other tournaments and other tournaments. So I won't bore you completely with the game because I didn't really want to do a half-hour long chat on Supercard necessarily. it kind of evolved this way. But so there's like other tournaments within tournaments within tournaments, and there's loads to do. But in order to really attain anything worthwhile, you kind of have to spend a lot of time or a lot of money. So I recently deleted that, and I've got so much more done with my life, which is actually why I started this thread in the first place. I apologise. I started working on a couple of new games, coding them. I'm using the Unreal Engine. I'm using their visual scripting section, which is called Blueprints. Blueprints are incredibly fantastic. I've done C++ coding. I have been taught C++ coding. I did a degree in like game development and whatever else. So I'm fully aware how to code to a degree in C++ and whatever else. But I much prefer Blueprints. Maybe not as powerful, possibly not as powerful. I don't really know. Because I've never really, I don't know Blueprints well enough to know how powerful they can get. But so far I've managed to do all the really cool stuff I wanted to do in a game without touching a line of actual code myself. Blueprints is fantastic. But yes, so like I've managed to get so much more done by having this mobile game deleted from my phone. So this is the interesting thing about computer games for me, in the kind of chat I wanted to have today, was the psychology in that, like, do you feel you have to play a game? Do you feel beholden to a game if you're really into that game? So the talk and I, that's not good English at all. Them words is difficult for me. I am good at all the words, trust me. Um, the I've completely just thrown myself off of what I was thinking about. What we were going to talk about today was Grand Theft Auto 5. We've been talking about the success of games and um, what they've been doing to make that game successful and what kind of appeals to people and whatever else. It's obviously all opinion based, um, and we've kind of just asked questions of ourselves and of the audience and whatever else to see why we think things have happened a certain way. So the thing with games these days is with DLC and microtransactions and more kind of stuff going on in the world. Do you feel beholden to a game? So, like a game like GTA 5, they've added the online mode, which is, I think maybe was the first one was GTA 5. It may have been in GTA 4. I don't remember that well. I'm sorry, I'm getting old. That does happen. But I don't remember a substantial, not on console anyway, maybe PC. On console, I'm pretty sure there was no online mode. So there is, if there was, it was complete trash because I didn't play it. But there was no. But now with online mode, they're adding loads and loads of new stuff, which is really really cool, and they're keeping their online stuff really kind of fresh and up to date. But it kind of throws back with they kind of, a lot of people are doing this, put in timed events. So like Fortnite put in 50 versus 50 version 2 mode. Again, it's like a war mode where you go into a squad of 5 people. I think it's 5. Might be 4. Squad of 4 people. You're thrown into a game, and then it might be 5. It doesn't matter. You're in a squad of people. There's more than one. There's more than 2. It's not a duo. You're thrown into a squad, but then the 50 of the people in the game, the usual 100 are, well, not 50 because it's your squad, but there's a large number of people. Almost half. We'll go with that. Almost half the map is, well, no, technically half the map is. My point is 50 people play on one team, 50 people play on the other team, yourself included. So you kind of have this war mode, and it's a really fun mode. It's interesting, it's diverse, and whatever else. But if you want to play it, you've only got a limited time to do it. The Rockets game was so much fun, annoying as hell because the Rockets are overpowered in Fortnite massively. But I had a good laugh, and I posted some videos and bits and pieces on the fun I had with like the egg launcher and stuff. Not the egg launcher needs to be a thing, but they could just put the grenade launcher in its place. It does exactly the same thing. The grenades still bounce in the same way. It's just a reskin essentially anyway, but less on that. So they keep adding content, but it's timed. So you kind of, when they do like a weekend event, you feel like you have to give your weekend up to go and do these things. And it's fascinating how easy it is to not realise how much of your life you're handing over to these things. In 1 week, one 7-day period, I deleted WWE Supercard off of my mobile phone, which I had convinced myself, in my head, I'd convinced myself that I only played WWE Supercard every now and again. I only like played the odd bout here and there, and I only did what I needed to do. Bare minimum, I only did what I needed to do. So that's what I convinced myself of. And then I deleted the game. Finally, I got tired of it. I got bored of it. I was like, this is the same thing day in, day out. This is ridiculous. So I deleted it. And then for the following week, when I was sat there, I was like, well, I don't have Supercard to play today, so what should I do? And that's when I started coding a game. And I have made 90, maybe that's a large estimate, probably 70% of an endless runner. Very simple, very basic endless runner. I've learnt a lot about blueprints. I've done a lot of tutorials and stuff. I made a sort of I can't think of the damn word for it. But a seed-based kind of map, so it kind of randomly generates the map based on certain criteria and whatever else. And again, it was a learning experience. There's a lot of blueprints coding involved, and it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. But it's amazing how just in a 7-day period, when I didn't have Supercard to distract me, how much more I could actually achieve with my life. And I find that really, really interesting. That I'd lied to myself all this time, thinking that I was doing the best I could and I was being the most productive I could, and the game wasn't doing anything to distract me, but it clearly was, because without it I've done so much. I'm in the middle of doing a new drag and drop item system, a la, I don't know, Fortnite or something like that, where you can swap the guns around in the order of your backpack and whatever else. And I'll probably go on to learning how to drag and drop into the world and stuff like that. But yes, managed to do so much more. So, rolling back to GTA, they have released recently a new sort of gamer mode within the GTA Online, which is called the Vespucci job, Vespucci. I don't really know. I don't know how you say it. Don't write me letters. So it comes with new vehicles, some new races, some time trials, but they've added like the bonus GTA dollars and RP as they usually do. I think they've lowered the price on stuff as well, and it's fantastic that they're adding new stuff. But again, the weekend deals kind of makes you feel like you should go and play the game mode at the weekend. And it's fantastic. But you've got the play mode itself will give you double GTA dollars on RP until April 23rd, which is today. So probably by the time you hear this, it'll mostly probably be over. Sadly, but they've added like 3 new cars, and that's something they're very good at. But again, cars cost money, which then kind of promotes you to then buy shark cards, because all the new cars are generally high end and incredibly expensive. They have discounted vehicles, ammunition, modifications for cars, and I believe some of the business stuff had some reductions on it as well. But yes, it's like the success of Grand Theft Auto's online kind of game is by these constant drops of free, and I have to put out there, it's free content. But then you kind of end up paying for it long term. So it's free. There's no entry price, as I like to, not a euphemism. The analogy I'd like to apply to it is that if you go to like a pub or a club, you're going to be buying drinks when you get in there, but there's like a £25 charge on the door. They're already getting £25 out of you before you've even bought yourself a drink. And then you go in there, and then you've got to buy whiskey for like £5 for a shot. And that's the worst kind of situation you want to find yourself in, which is where a lot of games for me fall down. If you've got a £25 entry charge, your drinks need to be cheap, or free. Because there's only so much you can drink anyway. And it's the same with games. There's only so much time you have in the world. There's only so much time you can play that game. So you're probably not going to see everything and do everything necessarily. Maybe you will, because maybe you have a lot of free time. But it seems to me like, for a lot of bad content, well, maybe Star Wars is one of the best new examples of it. The idea that you kind of buy a game that's half made and then you fill the rest of it up by buying crates to fill the rest of your content out. If I pay full price for a game, I want the full fucking game. Destiny was terrible for this. They released a £45 game, then released two £45 um, add-ons, and then to get the last add-on or to get the whatever it was, you had to have the other two add-ons, and so on and so forth. So they basically sold you the game in like four parts. But people were happy about this. People were like, "Oh yeah, they've regular content drops and they've added this new thing and whatever else." And it's like, but they're not really adding anything to the game. They're just giving you the rest of it. They've charged you £45 to get in the nightclub, the bar, and now they're charging you £5 for your drink. It's that's that's the only analogy I can think of that really brings that home for me, is that you've paid your entry fee and then paid you're being asked for money for the rest of it. Now obviously that's not a great analogy, because obviously everywhere you go you buy money to go to a football game, a baseball game, whatever else. They're not going to give you hot dogs and popcorn for free. That would just be ridiculous. Um, and I understand that concept, so that's fine. But so my analogy is not perfect, but it's kind of one of those things of, I don't know. It's not a real analogy, but you pay £25 to go into an art gallery, and all the pictures are covered up by a cloth, and then you have to pay £5 for them to unveil each picture. Obviously, the experience of going to the art gallery was to see the art. If all the art is covered and you only get to see it by paying more money, is kind of how I feel about games. You've paid your £45, and then they kind of allow you to have the content piece by piece. Rockstar aren't doing that. Like, they're giving you free content. The update comes in for free. I can go and play Grand Theft Auto Online, the new modes, everything, without giving Rockstar a single dime of my money. But they will obviously have a marketing team, a strategy team, people that have worked out thresholds of gameplay and whatever else. So they're like, okay, we'll give double dollars on this game mode. The game mode only pays out $5,000. The new car is like $5,000. So you have to play the game X amount of times. It's probably quite low for a car, but say 500,000, and you're earning 5,000. You've got to play that game mode 100,000 times. Is my maths right there? Probably not. But you've got to play it a large number of times. My head mathematics has clearly died on me. But you've got to play it a lot of times in order to afford that one car. They release 3 new cars. You're gonna kind of, generally as a player, you're gonna want to own them, drive them, play with them, do whatever else, because they're new. That's the whole point about new content. That's why people like new content being dropped into games, because they're like, oh, I really like GTA, I really like Fortnite, but it's getting a bit stale, it's getting a bit boring. Oh, there's a new game mode. Oh, there's a new gun. Oh, there's a new machine that you can put wood in and get a gun out of. The content drops obviously promote the idea to you to stay playing the game, to keep invested in it. But whilst they're keeping you invested in it, while they're dropping the content that keeps you interested, they are then adding a little bit of a paywall to other stuff or to similar stuff. So with something like Fortnite, obviously they drop in the new shotgun, they drop in the new vending machine, they drop in a new LMG. They've dropped in something else recently as well. A building that kind of builds itself. You throw a grenade and a building pops out of it. Obviously, well, that's really cool, and you're like, wow, that adds a new dimension to the game, and that's fun. And you just throw a bomb and it turns into a building. I don't have to sit building it for ages and blah blah blah. And that's fantastic, and you're thinking, woo, brilliant. But then, obviously, that keeps you playing, and the longer you play, the more you see the skins of other players, and the more you see other players when they're dropping out of the sky, they're setting off fireworks, or they're lit up like a Christmas tree, or they're doing something else, and then you start thinking, oh, when I jump out of the plane, I want to be lit up like a Christmas tree. Oh, I want to be wearing a skin to look like an astronaut. I want to do whatever, and then that's where they earn their money, is keeping you in the game long enough that you start wanting the other stuff in the game that's not free. So GTA are doing a brilliant job of this. They're dropping the content, and then they're giving you a way of earning the cars yourself. So you can literally never give Rockstar a single dime of your money, not a single penny goes to Rockstar. And you can still access a lot of the content. You just have to replay the jobs over and over again. So if you've got 8 hours free on a Saturday, you can sit doing the job over and over and over and over again, until you've got the money to buy one of the new cars, or all the new cars, I don't know. Um, but that's the thing, you either pay with time or you pay with money. And time is much harder to come by than money for most people. That's not true for everybody. But a lot of people will generally not have like 72 hours of time to spend for this weekend deal to get the full whack of the weekend deal out. Like, you can't get double RP for the full 3 days it's running. But you can drop $5, $10 into the game. What's that to most people? I was watching a YouTuber the other day, and he was playing NBA 2K18, and in the comments people were like, "Oh, just break 20 off and drop it into the game, upgrade your character," and that seems like such a simple thing these days, and it's a different mindset to my generation, for sure. The idea that you don't earn your stats, you don't, like an RPG, you don't work your way up through all of the game, you don't spend hours doing it. It's literally just, yeah, $20, boom, I'll upgrade my character. And then when you get bored because you've hit another wall where your character's not developing anymore, you're like, oh well, it's only $20. You break off another $20, and you keep doing that, and you've already paid $60 or whatever for the game title, your entry fee, and now you're constantly tipping the the people who made the game. You're constantly going, oh, there's another 20, there's another 20. You're not getting any real value for that. You're getting some in-game thing which may add some value to the game. Maybe it adds some longevity, so you're giving them $20 for your game to last another month or so. So maybe that's what you get. Maybe you get some playtime out of it. I don't know. But the success of the reason GTA is still dropping content for free in this game, I believe, is because they're making enough money for it to be viable. They're looking at it and they're going, okay, every time we release a new update, people go and buy a load of shark cards because they want to buy a business, they want to buy a new house, they want to buy a new car, they want to buy all the new weapons, and they know full well that in that first 72 hours you're never going to make enough money to buy the new car at a discounted price or anything else. So they're doing incredibly well from all of that. But credit to them. They are making a good game. They have made a good game. It's very fun to play. I still love GTA now, even though it's like, what is it, 5 years? Maybe older than that. I can't remember its release date. I think it's about 5 years old now. I could probably look that up. But let's actually do that. Computer being incredibly slow due to the fact that it's running on the Unreal Engine in the background. So September 17th, 2013. So almost 5 years ago, the game was released. And it's still very, very strong. It's still getting played an awful lot. It's still having content dropped. People are still sinking money into it. It's a success story, and I think the engine and all the stuff that goes into that game really makes it fantastic. So they deserve the money, they deserve the credit. But it's fascinating how it's kind of like a trade-off of money or time. And as I say, like I didn't realise how much time was being eaten up by a simple mobile game that really is incredibly simple. You literally have like 4 or 5 cards. You pick which one to play. It plays it automatically for you. You win or lose. You pick the next card, so on and so forth until the game ends. Then you've either won or you haven't. And that is literally mostly what you do in WWE Supercard. Um, and yet it clearly ate several um, hours of my day, and whole days and whole weekends and whatever else. Um, and that's why it's successful. That's why it's making money. I think that's why GTA is successful and why it's making money. Why Fortnite is successful and is making money, and why people are still invested in it is this sort of idea of dropping free content, free updates. So you feel like they're supporting the game community, you feel like they're doing you a favour, you feel like they're invested in the game and they're trying to make it better, and people are, applauding them. They're getting all sorts of, pats on the back for like supporting their game. But really, on the back end, it's the players who spend money that really keep that going. And I was in a forum of some sort. I can't remember what it was, whether it was YouTube comments or whatever else. These people were having it was probably like the WWE Supercard like forum or something. Um, the people that don't spend money were insulting the people that did spend money on the game, and the people that spend money on the game were insulting the people that didn't spend money on the game, both thinking the other was totally wrong. Like, oh, you're a cheap scumbag, you don't put any money into the game. And other people are like, oh, you don't play the game, you just buy your cards. So it seems like there's no happy medium. Like, you either one of these scumbags that buys their decks and buys their cards and buys everything in the game, or you're one of these scumbags that plays the game for free, doesn't put anything into it, doesn't add any value to the game or whatever. There seems to be no intermediary kind of idea, but my question, and feel free if you've bothered to listen this far or get to this part of the podcast, jump down into the comments and just tell me what it is, how you feel about that situation. Are you happy with free content being dropped that you then kind of have to pay for? Do you think that the companies would bother to release, would Rockstar bother to continually update a 5-year-old game if there wasn't money to be made? Do you think that Rockstar are really that good of a company? Do you think that they're that invested in GTA 5 that they really love their player base so much that they're dropping all of this content year after year after year, keeping their game still in the top probably 10 online played games? Don't quote me on that. And do they do it for the love of the game? Do they do it for the love of computer games? Do they do it for the love of the fans? Or do you think it's because there's money involved and they're doing it for money? And then does that diminish how you feel about that situation, or is that just the way of the world? Like, I don't expect them to give me free stuff. Why would I expect them to give me free stuff? It's kind of an entitled attitude. To expect people to do stuff for free, and for you just to receive it. But then on the flip side, they're releasing content and charging quite a bit of money for it. Probably well over the odds of what it's worth, in any respect. But microtransactions are no longer really micro, are they? When you can buy like V-Bucks and you can spend 99.99 pounds on buying V-Bucks. The fact that they're giving you the option to spend £100 on in-game credits, kind of shows you that they're willing or are happy for people to drop that kind of money into their game when the game itself was free. And even if it wasn't free, you'd probably only pay £60 for a game. If there was no such thing as DLC, you'd pay £60 for your game, and that would be the end of. So that's another question. Like, if tomorrow DLC stopped, like there was no more microtransactions, there was some law passed. Um, yes, shush. There was some law passed whereby games companies weren't allowed to do microtransactions anymore. They weren't allowed to do DLC. Do you think we'd go back to the sort of 90s style games where you got everything in the game and anything that didn't come with it went into the sequel? Um, or do you think games would just become less of a medium? Do you think they'd go back to being a fringe idea? Because at the minute, Fortnite is crossing boundaries. Like, they're talking to basketball players, hockey players, all sorts of people from different walks of life about their Fortnite tactics, um, where they like to drop in the game, um, so on and so forth. So it's really kind of pushing into mainstream media, which hasn't really happened since Sonic and Mario. Really, I mean, it probably has, but for me personally, like, Sonic was everywhere when I was a kid. It was like Pepsi promotions, and like everywhere you went, that you go to some sporting event, and then there'd be Sonic the Hedgehog posters everywhere. Anything they could, relate to. He run fast, so they did, the marathon or something stupid. He was energetic, so he drank sugary drinks. I don't know, but they kind of just pushed a lot of. He was in a lot of media, and so was Mario. Back in the day, I mean, probably still is, but like, would gaming drop out if they didn't have online gaming? Like, would people still love Fortnite if they released a battle royale mode and then never updated it? You know, are the updates the important part of it? And does it matter to you that there is a paywall to the content, or are you happy to give the developer money? And then, how much money are you kind of willing to hand over to the developer? Like, do you set yourself out and say, right, I'd pay £45 for a game, so I'll spend up to £45 in like microtransactions, or are you just 10, like this guy was saying about the NBA, like $20 here, $20 there. Who cares? It's only $20. Um, for people that aren't strapped for cash, that have disposable income, what's $20? It's nothing to you, certainly. So, um, what's the big deal? Like, just drop the $20 kind of thing. I'd love to know your thoughts on whatever else. As I say, this was kind of like a dull monologue from me for today's Monday musings. I would like to try and make the conversations more interesting, the topics more interesting, and whatever else. Drop some other stuff in here. We're just trying this format out, giving it a go, seeing if people are interested in having a one-way conversation. I talk for half an hour, 40 minutes, and then you jump down in the comments and tell me whatever you think, or ask questions, or do whatever it is you do in the comments, whether it's just hate on me. And we kind of see where that goes in terms of whether it's entertaining or whether it's interesting enough to enough people to carry it on. So yeah, joining the experiment. I'm going to wrap this up now because we're almost at the 40-minute mark as far as I am aware. I hope you enjoyed the chat. I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts. I'd be interested in reading your thoughts, so do go down into the comments and let me know. If you like the video, hit the like button. It probably will help the channel out and probably will help the video out. Subscribe if you haven't already and you kind of want to listen to Monday Musings. That's all we've got for you at the minute. As I say at the beginning, at the top of the show, we do only have the Monday podcast currently, but hopefully there'll be more stuff in the future from the channel. Hit the notification button if you have. Hit the subscribe button just so that you're aware when we do drop stuff. It may come in randomly, I don't know. I'm not very good at this kind of thing. And very, very, I mean, I didn't want to go onto this, but quickly. I mentioned to someone in the comments before, like, I am not a professional YouTuber. I don't have professional equipment. Um, I don't claim to know everything, and I don't claim to be good at everything. So if you see any of my help videos, and they're not helpful, I apologise, but I made them believing they would be helpful. If you've seen any of my entertaining videos and they're not entertaining, you've seen any of my comedy stuff and it's not funny, again, I apologise. I'm not a professional at any of it. I just enjoy kind of talking about games and like I said, I've been playing computer games since I was about 5 years old on an Atari 2600. Since then, I've owned or played, I think, on pretty much every single console, bar like the Neo Geo. I've never had the pleasure of one of those, but pretty much everything else. Most mainstream handhelds, consoles. I have played. I've played a lot of PC games from whenever. I played Amstrad. I played Amiga. Um, I've played a lot of games over the years, so I really, really love computer games. I love what they are. I love what they do. That's why I wanted to get into um, computer game art, and then I got into computer game programming, because I really love the idea of what computer games actually are and do. And maybe we'll talk about that in the next show. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you, or not see you. You won't see me either. Kind of a weird relationship we have, you and I. Hopefully you'll hear from me, and I'll hear from you next time. I'll see you then.